Dear Lina, dear Rabih, thank you so much for accepting our invitation also to talk further on your generous participation in the Balkone. And for us, of course, it will be also like kind of interesting to share this experience with the network of independent curators international from New York, and then also how to learn how we devise the vocabulary of our collaboration together. I would like to start from like the question, because I mean, you proposed a double participation. You worked with your building, and at the same time, for your own participation, you brought in a very intimate way your archive of the balconies from all around the world.
I'm also curious to know which one was the first, because one thing was that you extended the invitation to all your neighbors. Basically, you said, okay, it's not only to us, it's to our building on Hoevelandstraße. So in some sense, speaking of balconies as a display modes, you know, as a communicators to the outside, you kind of, you know, extended this, the whole building displayed itself, which was very beautiful and generous. But then you did something very, very intimate. And even if you have a balcony, like not all the participants of the project had one, you didn't do anything there. You went downstairs and then you did very intimate street exhibition from the small pictures. Yeah, but I better let you describe it. It's just, you know, I'm curious how this thing resulted from each other.
There is no chronology which one came before. They were coming together at the same time. And sometimes one was advancing much more, and then, okay, but we have to work on this also. So there is not one first and then the second. They were never separated. If you have to do something from the beginning, it was, I don't feel that I am the artist here and I'm doing something on my balcony. It was immediately obvious that I want everybody, we would like to have everybody participating and sharing. Because since the beginning of the confinement, I was hysterical, as usual, but a little bit more, that what to do. My most big problem with confinement is this bizarre situation where solidarity is by turning away from the others. We are used to different kind of solidarity, yes. Where you run for the others, where you help the other, you hug the others. It's I understand, of course, medically, scientifically, why we have to do it, but it kept all the time in my mind that to do solidarity is by not being in solidarity, in fact, by isolation and separation and distance and don't approach me. So, and also at the same time, as I said, that I felt it a little bit also like, the artist doing something on the balcony for the others in such situation. Everybody, this, if it's solidarity and neighbors, then everybody should be participating, thinking together, doing something together, because this is neighborhood. It's not about only the artists, and fuck the artist and their idea. And not, it's not that's the most important. So yes, and okay, neighborhood, because we are living in Prenzlauer Berg and in a privileged area in Berlin, usually it is accompanied with distant relations. So if we are doing something to break this and about neighborhood, so let's call them and talk to them and not just surprise them. One day I have something on my balcony. So it was a good opportunity to meet the neighbors, to get to know them, and
to do something together.
At the same time, get to know them for the first time. I knocked on their doors. They were so sympathetic, and do something immediately together.
Yeah, I was really curious, like if the conversation is like continuing, or like kind of this knock on the door and this participation changed like the whole air in the building, the way people greet each other or things like this?
Not really. With some people, obviously, it opened something, and the relation is continuing and will continue, but still not so much because we are still in confinement. Also, I'm always afraid to give corona to anybody or to receive it, but obviously with some, yes, with others, although they immediately accepted and very generously, and but you feel that there is still this, oh, okay, you know, it's cultural also. It's the timidity of the German. I know that behind all this kind of like this, there is a lot of timidity. I learned to understand it, and it's not because they are bad, not at all.
Yeah, and also like there is also the say other words that Lina said it, that it was like a spontaneous response to your invitation to us to make something informal. Lina talked with all of them, and it was like decided between us that we have to give them the whole freedom to do whatever they want without saying anything. We give them like little hints what could be, what possible, and also we told them if they need any material we can provide. And other than this, we did not interfere. And they did what they did. We didn't know what they want to do, and we did what we have done. So also we were like part of it. So in a way, like it was like there was like equality between all of us. Like there were like a lot of ideas that came to our mind, like to do a lot of things, and one of like, you know, like a lot, and one of them we have seen it with another artist, which was like to put a rope
escape
out of.
Anyway, there were a lot of ideas, and like one of the ideas was like actually to hang from our balcony down like photos with quotes from poets that we love. And the quotes from the poems are something that related to our situation today with the virus, the coronavirus, and also personally meaning to us. And because like, you know, there is, it was a short time to achieve everything and to try out. We thought that also it's like, it's a good idea. It's a good thing actually to go down and to break this confinement. And like, because like there were a lot of people walking down the street on the sidewalk, and it was like good also to share with them these photos as like an exhibition, but it was like done in a homely way, like
manner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were different what was the exhibition actually?
Photos, this very, everybody has photos like this. Everybody, perhaps less today because it is changing the balcony and relation to the balcony, but people have take photos on balconies. There's a lot of photos of people on balconies. And so we chose 11 photos of people on the balcony.
From different cities.
And some are very old, some are more recent, and we put just a quote from a poet, or sometimes not poets, writers, thinkers that we love. We just choose a sentence and we put it under each one, and we put also in which city this photo and this balcony, without mentioning who is the person or persons who are on the balconies.
Yeah, so in a way it was like also to connect the project, the balcony, with other balconies and all over the world. Like it was like from
Because
Seattle.
all the world is confined, everybody,
Yes.
and
Yeah. So it was like different cities all over the world, which was.
Yeah, Athens, Beirut, São Paulo, I recall.
There was
Yeah.
Accra. There was Accra also.
Syria,
As
Florida,
Syria,
Syria, Jordan, Syria, Spain.
I'm also like, we are also curious that, I mean, you said, of course, that it was more about like the participation and the gesture in itself rather than an accomplished work. But it's still, of course, for those of us who follow your work closely for many years, we see the little hints and connections like to your like kind of artistic methodologies. And they are, of course, part of certain vocabulary that you have developed over many years. So can you maybe like kind of briefly talk about the connection that you see of these two gestures to the to this general artistic vocabulary and this place of this small gesture there, basically?
Probably, perhaps, people often connect our works immediately with document and fiction.
Yes,
And
exactly.
also it is often connected how we work. We do also connection between the private and the universal. How often we start from personal stories, personal events or objects or documents to talk about something that is more related to everybody, from the private to the public sphere in general. Yes, indeed, this vocabulary, if you, it is also in this work. Documents, but who are not here to prove anything or to how we say
to reveal
the truth that nobody knows, and it is public at the same time. So, and it's a document, but there is, of course, fictions, a little bit of fictions inside it as a document by itself, but also how we put things together. We invented fictions, of course. But also there is a vocabulary that is not so obvious in our work, but often also it is here, this vocabulary, how we bring different things and we put them together and they look like as if it is a real one story or one fictional, but completely coherent. But in fact, it is, we often build also our work from things that we pick from different elements, places, history, and whatever, a constellation of completely not heterogeneous, but nothing to do, and we put them together and how we create one unity through them. And
and it's related also to, in addition to all this, like to one concept that since many years we work with found images, found footages, found material, and this work is also it goes in the same manner.
Yes.
Yeah, you could immediately read it on the street level.
Yes.
Because, as you know, we didn't reveal the addresses of the artists to also protect their privacy, but somehow, in some cases, it was evident.
Yes, exactly. It was already ingrained in the gesture, so it was there, like for the ones who know. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just coming to the end, maybe we can zoom out again a little bit. And many of us have been reading this article by Bruno Latour. You know, he's like asking, and kind of many of us doing this homework, I guess, in the special times, you know, how this time can help us rethink what actually is the core of what we are doing, what we want to keep doing, and what necessarily not, and what could maybe change. Do you have any thoughts of yourself in that direction?
For me, it's a big question also. I don't have any answer. this situation reinforced my conviction that all the tools we are used to think with the world are not anymore. At this long time, we didn't see it, but more and more clear that we have to completely renew all our tools of thinking. And if still when people think about alternative, we are still thinking this old way of thinking, and something that it will take a little bit time, but it will be a big explosion of change and hope, but I don't know how, and I don't know, it's really difficult.
Yeah, it's maybe also too fast and not too fast to think about it, because also like the questions were before the corona, it was all the time like asking about this world, where it's going like ecologically and politically in a security manner, the war on terrorism, how it is used and abused in terms of taking all the rights, the civil rights. It's all these issues, like it was like questions that raised for many years before now, and now it's like the corona is just like pushed all these questions to the edge, and to the extreme, where now like, okay, now we have to think about it. We are forced to think about it. Well, not only the intellectuals, the thinkers, the artists only have to think about it. Now the whole world are forced to think about it.
Certainly agree. I also do think that this is a certain kind of closure of a period, especially for a generation that kind of grew up or that only get to know the world through the vision of 9/11. You know, I mean, this is like kind of, we came to the edge of it, that's for sure. Because like, and before 9/11, this was like the fall of the Berlin Wall, and like that openness that kind of came was like also like kind of closed and shut down, let's say through 9/11. And a lot of actually like young artists, or like who we call as millennials, the world that they are born into, they develop their subjectivities into, had been always this world of 9/11 that we know that it was different before. So I think like this is also this is also kind of an important, this edge, and where we will fall into from this edge. So we are certainly on the edge of the cliff, but where we are going to fall into will be an interesting point, of course.
Yeah, I think, you know, the last 10, 12 years, there was a lot of demonstrations, of movements all over the world. Occupy Now, the movement des indignés, etc. You know, everywhere, USA, Spain, Greece, everywhere. There was a lot, and then the Arabic Spring and etc. And always the problem was given like this: okay, but do you have an alternative? And are you organized in a way or in another? I always had the impression that no, they are not organized yet, and there is not a program and a clear project and planification and the alternative to propose, but it will come. For me, what clarified Corona and didn't push really things, but clarified the emptiness, perhaps, of all the ideas of organization, planification, alternative. This is what I'm saying. There is something more radical that appeared that it is insignificant anymore and cannot tell the world of today. And hopefully, I imagine something that will completely change. I don't know if we will be still alive or because it takes time, but it will be something completely and radically different, and we cannot sort it. A big epistemological rupture on all levels, and we are not prophets to predict what it will be, but and nobody today have any idea.
So it's like a kind of adaptation of of the living on the same system, on the same ideas. And this is the problem. And you can see it today with Corona situation, like how our life today is like we are adapting the same life before, but on the Corona restrictions and situations that we have to, we go to the supermarket, we buy the same thing, that we have to put this, we have to, we all this, like, also like if you go to the art world, like now it's like, it has the same logic, but now switching and adapting it into the internet. So now we go to the web with the same thing, but producing, but now on the net. So we solve the problem. Wow. It's, I think like there is something else we have to think about. It's not like so easy, like, oh, I find the problem now. Instead of gathering in a room, now we can gather in Zoom us, and it's done. Or like we do an exhibition, or like whatever, like it's, I think there's something beyond this. We have to find another ways, alternative to solve this big problems that we are facing today, all the whole world.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the more we are on Zoom, the more we realize that it will never ever replace the bodily presence.
No.
And,
no way, no way. No.
So, and that's why actually we with Övül now talk, like post Balkone, talk a lot about certain potential that public art might have in this moment.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, because we don't know, Corona might not end now, it might not end in, we don't know actually. Maybe it's a condition in which we will live. And perhaps public art is now a form, usually it's looked down upon a little bit because of this legacy of, you know, drop sculptures, monuments. But actually maybe now it's a delegated form to be somewhere together in a bodily manner. Somehow to send each other signs, who was saying signs of smoke.
Yeah, signs of smoke.
You know, and to think, okay, what is public in public art? When we call public art, so this means public. So creating some kind of publicness, creating some kind of a commonality or counter-public, or being somewhere together. So what would be this for real? Not just because, you know, we want to decorate a square, but what is there a place where we can go out of our screens and still in a safe manner be with our bodies there? And perhaps, this, you know, just to end on some kind of hopeful note.
And also, like, I would like to also connect it to what Rabih was saying about, like, it's not only like the things that we have been thinking, like in the art scene as a kind of art and culture producing community, need to be taught together over publicly again. And it has to be like a kind of, in a much more common space, these questions need to be addressed and answered. And then I do think, Joanna, like the way we approach, like with this project also to the publicness and what can it become, then it can actually also become one of these environments, hopefully, that we wish to believe, you know, to maybe ask those questions more publicly, and developing another, like a kind of a more tighter maybe language of togetherness, so that it's not one side of the world asks these questions and the other side of the world only nods and sees it's like useless business, you know. It's
Yep. Bon.
Très bien.
Très bien.
Okay.
Thank you already for the project, for inviting us, for having been so patient with us.
Yeah, no, it's such a, you know, such a pleasure to connect more as neighbors and as artists and curators, and feel this proximity from few streets, but also with minds, you know. So.
Exactly. Also, like psychologically, like emotionally feeling these connections and opening up already, like to the different skies together. No.
Of course.
Great. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to the opening time then.
And for the festen in the street.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Bye. Bye. Bye.